You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello there, and welcome back to the official Deaf Crocodile Podcast. It is the end of 2025, gentlemen. How are we doing?
We're doing great, Ryan. Oh my God, I can't believe 2025 began with Cathedral of New Emotions. Seems
like a lifetime ago.
It seems like several lifetimes ago that we released that, and Gwen in the Book of Sand, and oh my gosh, Signals, A Space Adventure in the Dust of the Stars, Freckled Max and the Spooks. They literally seemed like years ago, not months ago.
Yeah, it's an entirely different period of Deaf Crocodile since this was the year starting. I mean, now you've got a year full of deluxe edition releases, people clamoring to get these stuff, selling out on pre-order. That was unprecedented this year.
Oh yeah, no, we are so grateful to everyone who has supported us. Our first ever flash sale a couple months ago turned out to be a tremendous success. I think over 60% of the buyers were first-time purchasers, which is amazing. We've had more and more people signing up for our email lists, which is one of the main ways that we communicate with people. So I'm assuming anyone listening to this is already on it, but if not, just pop your email address in at our website, and at least once a week, sometimes more, we send out email blasts with all sorts of announcements and tidbits, and a little image of Columbo, which everybody should see at least once a week because we love Columbo.
Well, yes, there's always just one more thing.
Yep, just one more thing.
Especially in a recording with Dennis, that's for sure.
Wow. Have you been talking to Maria?
A little bit, but it's all love.
She says that I digress. And that whenever I would pitch my own movies, I would tell the entire plot in the like, well, let me tell you about my movie, Nails. And then I just tell them, and she's like, why would they need to watch it? You just told them the entire story. And I was like, that's not right to say that to me, even if it's true.
Well, to get back to 2025, lots of brand new things have happened this year. We've announced some things coming in the future. We're going to be talking about all that today. One that is not on the upcoming 6-month subscription that I really want to highlight that we did bring up since the last podcast episode is that we announced that we are commissioning brand new animation for an upcoming release. Why don't we highlight that a little bit, Craig? What is the story behind this?
Well, it's the kind of lost Mexican animated film Roy from Space, which we, I don't know if it was brilliant on our part, but we paid for, licensed, and then paid to have scanned, and had absolutely no idea what the film was.
Because it was lost.
Yeah, nobody had seen it. So
nothing survived from this film. There were no.
So we got the scan, which was actually, I think the fact that it got like a week run in a handful of theaters and then nothing ever since. That means that the original negative only printed a few prints and then it just sat in a vault ever since. So the scans actually came out quite beautiful. But then once we started watching them, immediately noticed that they had cut in unlicensed footage from a live action film that Dennis immediately recognized what film it was, and I was like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, I was friends with the late, very great Japanese director Kinji Fukasaku, who was best known for doing amazing Yakuza films like Battles Without Honor and Humanity and Graveyard of Honor and Humanity and others. They also made some really wonderfully loopy sci-fi movies, The Green Slime and Message from Space. And it appears that the producers of Roy from Space, either to make the film look more impressive, in terms of production value, or maybe they had just run out of time and money, got a print of Message from Space, just cut it up and slugged it into the negative, stock footage. So you have all these shots of spaceships zooming through space, explosions, and we were like, oh my God, what is this? Did they officially license this? And then, of course, there was no indication. And we checked with the producer's daughter, and she's like, oh, no, I had no idea it was in there. So we realized to release the film here, we were going to have to replace that footage because there'd be next to no chance. Rights holder and Message from Space, I'm sure, would have been shocked and appalled to learn that there's 4.5 minutes of footage from Kinji's movie just slugged into this incredibly obscure Mexican animated movie. So,
and it was also just technically on a quality level, this was a dupe of a print of a dupe, and then in some of the shots they had actually even put in a border. It did not look.
It's odd.
Great. It did not look great.
It kind of takes you out. Let's just say it takes you out of the movie, which is all, this really amazing sort of primitive outsider art animation style, directed by Hector Lopez Carmona, who was a Mexican animator. So a friend of mine, a former colleague named Alex McDonald, who's head of programming for the Philosophical Research Society in LA now, where I used to be executive director for a couple of years, recommended two animator friends of his, Brian Smee and Isabel Aspen. And we approached them, showed them Roy from Space, and said, would you be interested in creating new hand-drawn DIY, cell animation to replace that bootleg live-action footage? And amazingly, they said yes.
And I recognized Brian's name, and I couldn't remember why. So I searched through my emails, and Brian, we had done a poster contest for Belladonna of Sadness when we released that. And Brian had, he was one of the runner-up winners for that contest. And he had also, at the time, was going to Cal Arts experimental animation school, and had invited me to, they had a screening of Belladonna there with the class. And then I did a Q&A with them afterwards. It gives you some idea how bad my memory is, that I had forgotten all of that until I looked up my old emails. But yeah, so I'd met Brian before. So it was kind of cool that this years later, he's now animating some stuff for us.
And honestly, if you didn't know that it was new footage, you might not realize it, because they've really tried to stay
they did a really good job
to the kind of outsider art animation aesthetic of Hector Lopez Carmona's original. And if you're a fan, I guess the closest I could compare it to is Delta Space Mission or Son of the Stars, the wonderful Romanian animated sci-fi films we put out a couple years ago. Yeah, it does things with your sense of space or in spatial relations that you may never recover from. It's really pretty amazing. So we're super excited to share this lost movie. I mean, it literally, not a single trailer, nothing, no bad rip from an early 80s VHS release, nothing.
Yeah, there was no 80s VHS release.
There was nothing. It has not been seen by human eyes since the initial 1 week run in Mexico City in the early 1980s. So that's what we're most excited about, is to shine a light on Hector Lopez Carmona's work and his collaborators.
And we had thought for a minute about this extra footage, going like the Grindhouse route, where those scenes come in. We just put in a card that just says like scene missing, and that could have been fun. But then we had this really crazy idea of, well, why don't we just commission new animation for those sections? Because, like, you know, I know there's some people who are like, well, you should have just got the license from Toei. And it's like, well, that wasn't really an option. So,
right. Yeah, no, they never gave permission for 4.5 minutes of footage to be slugged into this movie. And I'm guessing they would have been shocked and appalled had they learned. So, the other film we should mention, which is also currently or has been considered a lost movie that we announced recently, is animator and filmmaker Tony Benedict's Guitar Picks and Roach Clips from 1976. And it's a half animated, half live action, kind of psychedelic stoner head trip movie. And Tony sadly passed away in the last couple of weeks. So our deep condolences go out to his family. And we've been working with his family for the past few months on trying to preserve and rescue Guitar Picks and Roach Clips using the sole surviving 35 millimeter print of the film, which was Tony's own copy. And it's got wear and tear, it's fading, and it's got pretty advanced vinegar syndrome. So in another year or two, maybe less, it would have been gone, unusable. But we got to it just in time, and we did a scan and transferred the 4-track mag stereo soundtrack elements.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's actually, which was very popular for a minute in the 70s, especially for stoner stuff. It was recorded with quadraphonic, basically 4-channel surround sound. And that print had the quadraphonic soundtrack. So we were actually kind of amazing that the one remaining element also was able to retain that quadraphonic sound. So that's kind of exciting.
And Tony was a pioneering animator for Hanna-Barbera. He worked on the Jetsons. He was one of the main creative animators on the Flintstones and a number of other, I think, Magilla Gorilla and tons of Hanna-Barbera material. And then in the kind of early mid-70s, he grew his hair really long and he kind of like, tune in, turn on, and drop out, and made this sort of amazing, as I said, it was clearly meant to be a head trip experience, almost like going to see Laser Floyd or Laser Zeppelin, where you were encouraged to get seriously baked and then watch the movie, which is this amazing sort of stream of consciousness mix of animation and live action. And it also has a lot of animated characters getting high. Like it's almost like it's like a 90-minute PSA for.
We've seen it. We've seen
smoking weed.
We've seen some print ads for the film, and it really, the advertising is all pushing it's basically for the music. Like,
nice.
Yeah.
They're the whole thing is based around the songs, the music, the quadraphonic sound, and just get high and listen to this stuff. And the animation style is really cool. It's kind of got a Crumb, keep on trucking kind of look to it. Like it's
excellent. Yeah, sort of Fritz the Cat, Heavy Traffic, that era of American animation, which we love. And this is the only element. There is no other print, negative, internegative, anything on the film that we know of. So we're really glad that they were able to preserve this, kind of snatch it from the jaws of oblivion. And that's going to be a long-term restoration project. It will need a lot of work, but we are looking forward to releasing that in the future. But Roy from Space will be coming out first sometime, I think late summer of 2026 is scheduled for release.
Well, on the note of 2026, we have a full brand new subscription period to talk about. But first, we had some changes to our memberships, which is, I think, one of the more defining and unique parts of Deaf Crocodile for everybody that is a fan of the company overall. One of the things that has been just taken off like crazy is the Discord. Lots of people excited to be there and bring up film recommendations and artists and see Craig posting pictures of release art before it actually goes live, and you get to see that early and delight in that with other people that love these things like you. And we had some changes on some of the tiers. One of the things is there was not like a low cost tier, so now there's a $50 tier, and it immediately gets you $50 in store credit, so you're not actually losing any funds on that, but you get access to the Discord for a year, and then you get access to the members only portion of the shop. And what's going to be changing in the shop there, Craig?
Well, most of the stuff I'm trying to get ready, and then we're going to have a big, basically members only shop debut January 1st. So,
nice.
So I'm trying to gather up as much cool stuff as possible for that. But the biggest thing, and the thing that most people have been asking for, is the limited edition, deluxe editions that have sold out. There's some of the earlier ones that are gone. They're literally gone. Like we don't hold, we don't magically go, oh, look, we found 500 more. Like, they're gone. So some of those early ones, they're not going to show up in the members only shop either, because we literally don't have them. But some of the later ones that have sold out, we did think ahead, and we're like, all right, well, we should hold back some for the members only shop. So like people that discover us later and kind of want some of those older titles, we'll have some in the members only shop. There'll be a strict limit of one, and they will be at MSRP. They won't be the standard discounted price, but they'll be much, much cheaper than trying to find them on eBay, because those prices have gotten really bonkers. So we'll be adding a lot of deluxe editions that were out of print. We'll put a bunch of the titles in there. There's members only merch. In fact, you can't see it, but I'm wearing our latest T-shirt, which is Romero's Club T-shirt. So little merch, and I'm going to be putting some original artwork from some of the releases. There's some David Mack ink drawings, because the Savage Hunt of King Stack cover that David Mack did was very much a collage. I didn't even know how he had done it until he was at a local convention, and I met him and we spoke, and I picked up the artwork from him. That whole cover is like a ton of separate drawings that he did and then digitally put them all together. So I've got a bunch of the individual, like all the different little images that are all over that cover. Those are actually individual drawings. So some of those individual drawings, the original artwork, we'll have in the members only shop. We're trying to work on getting another very limited autographed book, similar to the was it Sergi Barda book we had, right? Another Deaf Crocodile related autographed book. So don't have that in hand or announced yet, so I don't want to go into detail, but something similar to that we're working on. Some autographed really of the titles. Like, again, King Stack will have some limited editions with the artist autographs on them. So we are actively trying to find cool, fun stuff to put in the members only shop. And I think I'd even asked in the last newsletter, I was like, if you have ideas for things you think would be great in the members only shop, like, send us a note. Like, we want it to be fun for everyone. So, and if
Well,
we can track things down, we will try to track things down.
And the Discord, and I have to thank both of you enormously for getting that launched. Has become an amazing forum for people to respond in real time to announcements of upcoming titles, to suggest films, and in fact, we're in the process or have closed deals on some titles that were recommended to us now by fans through Discord. Craig shares artwork in progress. We have a lot of production photos, stills, posters, and things that we just don't have room for in our Blu-ray booklets. And so we will post those and share those in the Discord. So I highly recommend if you're a fan of what we do. And then there are pages that are just for recipes and pets and music.
Just hanging out.
I mean,
honestly,
non-DC, like talking about other labels and releases, and people share
honestly,
all sorts of stuff.
The Discord has quickly become my favorite social media outlet, because it's like it's kind of like what Facebook kind of used to be. It's not full of ads. It's just like you can find a group of people and you're all interested in the same thing, and you get to talk and hang out with friends, and not just be bombarded with non-stop garbage.
And people talk about Criterion releases and Severin releases and Arrow releases.
Yeah,
and
we're
that's great.
We're all just big fans of movies. So we want to hear what people are enjoying. And I was kind of anti-Discord for a while because I just I didn't get it, and then once I just I never used it, and so but now I'm a complete convert. It's my first place if I'm logging in to want to like hang out with people online. It's my go-to place, and it's been a lot of fun.
I knew it was the right thing to do when a month or two ago, our son, who's 22 and had been living with us for a couple months and working remotely, he heard that telltale bing in the background. He goes, "You got a message on Discord." So I was like, "So you know what Discord is?" "Oh yeah, use it all the time." Yeah. So I was like, "Okay."
It's huge in the gamers. Use Discord for everything.
He's a huge gamer since he was like 5 years old. Now, gaming is his life. So he was like, "Yep, Discord. Oh yeah, we love Discord." So right thing to do. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Craig.
Doing our best. And then speaking of the Discord, one of the other things that we're working on is doing some watch-along screenings where there might be some special guests sometimes, if we can work that out. Dennis and Craig might be able to do some Q&As in there. And not that they're not answering questions all the time, but this is like a real-time, we're here to read or listen to you and then respond immediately. That's pretty damn cool access. Not many labels offer something like that.
Or even just discuss the film we just watched, like it's all, I mean, I think I'm not alone in that I love films and most of my friends and family do not. So like hanging out on Thursday nights, watching your show, is just delightful because it's like, it's a community of people that all love movies and we get to talk about them and not, get glass-eyed looks from our friends that are like, I don't care. So a lot of times when I do go to a movie, I go by myself and there's no discussing the movie afterwards because I went by myself. Yeah. So hopefully what we could do is when we do one of these Discord watch-alongs is like we can all watch it together and then we can all just talk about it afterwards. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got to pick one. We have to pick one of our releases that we really love gapping about, and or we could kind of start at the beginning and go from Unknown Man of Shandagore through the
lots of options.
Chronologically. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But we'll also, I think, probably do some fun sneak previews of things that people aren't expecting. So that would be another cool benefit of membership.
Well, yeah, I remember when we were restoring Belladonna of Sadness, we had a screening at the Cine Family, and we weren't done restoring the film. So what everyone watched there in the theater was, 2/3 of the film was restored, and then the last two reels, nope. So yeah, we could. There's all sorts of fun things we can do, and I'm looking forward to doing it.
And if you want to be a part of it, one of the ways that you can do that is by being a member. And speaking of the memberships that we were just talking about, one of the things that we just instituted is a tier that gets you $425 of store credit from Deaf Crocodile, but it only costs you $375. So you get an immediate discount, and that just happens to be the exact amount you need to subscribe to the next 6 months, which we also just announced all of the titles which we need to cover. So let's run down this list a little bit. We're going to talk about the first two in depth in just a minute. So let's talk about what's happening after that. A 4K of Song of the Miraculous Hind. I saw a lot of people amazed that we are getting a 4K of a film by this director.
Yes, Marcel Jankovic, the great Hungarian animator of Son of the White Mare and The Tragedy of Man, which we put out a few months ago, and Johnny Corncob. So this is an incredible film he made. It's his attempt, amazingly successful, gorgeous film about the kind of 50,000 years of Hungarian prehistory, history, mythology that goes from kind of wandering Ice Age nomadic hunters to kind of the early medieval period, and all of the various influences of other cultures. From Turkic to the Khazars to all of the countries that kind of surrounded Hungary, and taking artwork, symbolism, and imagery. So it's incredibly metaphysical, unbelievably beautiful. I think it's easily the equal on a visual level of Son of the White Mare and The Tragedy of Man. It is one of Jankovic's absolute masterpieces.
I mean, it's really like a companion piece to Tragedy of Man. Like, he made it while he was working on Tragedy of Man, and while Tragedy of Man is basically trying to encompass all of humanity from the beginning to end, this is kind of the same thing but focused on Hungary. It's really good.
Yeah, it was actually his follow-up feature to Son of the White Mare, although it was made a number of years later. And it was, as Craig said, he was actually in production on the 23 years of production on The Tragedy of Man, and then took time off and made an entire other feature, which is just mind-blowing, Song of the Miraculous Hind. And it's interesting reading some of the original reviews, which say, well, you would really have to be interested in Hungarian history and culture to appreciate this film. And it is sort of amazing how limited a lot of those reviewers were in looking at Jankovic's work as a filmmaker and animator. And now that he has become much more famous, beloved, I think you can look at it with fresh eyes and go, oh my God, this is just one of the most astonishingly beautiful animated films I've ever seen. So we're very excited, and that's going to be a 4K UHD and Blu-ray combo release, working with our dear friends at the National Film Institute Film Archive in Budapest, Hungary, who have done an incredible restoration of the film.
It's a big deal, one that a lot of people are looking forward to, and I am stoked to see how people respond to that one. Another one coming out that same month is our next release from the animation master, Mr. Bill Plympton. We got the hilariously horny movie Hair High.
Craig, do you want to talk? High is oh my God. It's his star-studded. It's his big Hollywood voice actor movie, and it is
kind of incredible the list of actors he got for this film. It's this one is his 50s like High School Musical but it's still very, very Bill Plimpton. So it's going to go places you're not really expecting. All of us love Bill's work. Like, it's I'm just very thrilled we keep getting to put out all of his movies. I don't know what else to say. I was like, it's a Bill Plimpton feature. What more do you need to know? It's fantastic.
It's a big deal. Yeah. You will love it if you've not seen it, I promise. And then the following month,
I want to shout out first-time contributor Celeste de la Cabra on Hair High, which you Brian helped out with. That visual essay she did is fantastic. So excellent job.
And that has not been public yet, so Celeste will be very excited to hear this.
It's great. It's our first time working with Celeste, and we're really looking forward to working with her on some more projects.
Yeah, it's a terrific visual essay, which is perfect for Hair High. It's really good.
Incredible. And then another film coming the next month, one that has not had a really good release here in the States, maybe ever. I definitely didn't have a Blu-ray release. I think there's a German Blu-ray that came out a few years ago. And even that, it did not look great. I have that media book downstairs right now. And I have loved this movie for a long time. But we are getting a 4K release of Dead Mountaineers Hotel. And I cannot wait.
We were actually in discussions with them before that German release came out, so we know the master that they used for that because we had seen that master, and we're like, we'd really like to put out something better than that. And so we kept going back and asking, like, hey, like we will restore this for you. Like, we just need a scan, and we'll do it. And for years, they kept trying to get, I think, government grants. And so every year they were like, well, we're trying to get a grant. And so a year would go by and they didn't get it. And then the next year, same thing. The next year, same thing. So we've been trying for years.
Finally, we just wore them down.
Yeah. And eventually they were like, all right, like we're clearly not going to get this grant. It's been several years now. So they scanned it for us.
It's a collaborative restoration with the Estonian Film Institute, Rain Podra and his colleagues there. We're super excited. We can't say where yet, but it is going to have a big international festival premiere early next year. So Craig is actually taking time from furiously working on the restoration to do this podcast, and then we'll have to go back to it.
It was kind of funny when we got the word that the festival was going to screen it, and I was like, great, that's a lot sooner than the Blu-ray release date.
Whoops. But it's all going to work out, and it's going to look astonishing. Grigory Kromanov is the filmmaker. It's based on a novel and screenplay by the famed Soviet sci-fi writers Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, whose work was also adapted into Tarkovsky's Stalker and to Hard to Be a God. And it's an amazing kind of mashup, kind of Hall of Mirrors, sci-fi, locked room murder mystery, giallo. It is an indescribably wonderful genre film. Incredible soundtrack. We have some fantastic bonus features for it, so we're really excited about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool bonus features. Some things like I wouldn't have thought like would exist, and we're like, oh, that's cool. Let's put that on the disc. And we did, and I believe I've shared it on the Discord already, but it's a beautiful painting by Hans Woody. Will be the limited edition slipcase cover artwork. He's done work first before he did the Trap Dashes slipcase, and he did the Golden Fern slipcase. Both of those were digital paintings. And then a few months ago, he was commissioned to do a physical painting for Apocalypse Now that they were making prints of. and I think they were selling it at like San Diego Comic-Con. And I saw the painting, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's beautiful!" So I reached out to him and asked him, like, "We've got another project. Would you be able to do an actual physical painting for this one?" And he's like, "Sure," and knocked it out of the park. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. Then in April, we've got a 5-film Deefa Fairy Tales box set. There's been a lot of speculation about the titles that are coming in this.
I do love when people guess. It's fun because it's really fun to see the guesses, and sometimes they're spot on, or like, how the heck did they figure that out so easily? And then other times you're like, nope.
Yeah, we will reveal one of the other titles, which is Rotkepchen, Little Red Riding Hood from 1962, directed by Getz Friedrich, and it is amazing. It's sort of like an American Werewolf in East Germany, or like David Lynch, if he had directed an East German fairy tale movie. It has some of the weirdest and mangiest anthropomorphic forest critters you've ever seen. The big bad wolf is amazing. He looks like he's got, again, mange or something. His fur is like so terrifying. And there is a young child in a bunny rabbit outfit, we think, who kind of hops around dementedly throughout the film. I mean, it was a big hit in East Germany when it came out, but you see it now, and it is so strange and so subversive. So we're really hoping that people enjoy these films as much as we do.
Yeah, it's going to be a big deal. Five films coming on that one. Lots of bonus features. I can't wait to see the art on this one.
I'm very excited about the art on this one.
Yeah.
Then we go to May, and man, are there some fun things coming in May. We've got The Legend of the Sacred Stone, which is wild looking, and then revisiting a director that has been involved with Deaf Crocodile for a while, Shahram Mokri's 4K of his brand new film, Black Rabbit, White Rabbit, that is playing film festivals right now.
And winning awards around the world. Black Rabbit, White Rabbit is another kind of Moebius strip, M.C. Escher-like meditation on what is fantasy, what is reality. Is there really a distinction between the two? Doppelgangers and doubles, the art of cinema. He
plays with time and space. I've never seen anything else that the things he pulls off just kind of warp your brain. One of my favorite scenes in it is the lead actor's talking to somebody, and if you've seen Careless Crime, you know how he likes to do these long takes where there's no cutting away. So you watch a scene take place, and then you follow the camera follows somebody that was just in that scene, and you follow that person around, and then he's talking to somebody else, and in the background is the scene you just watched taking place.
From another perspective.
You're like, how the hell? It's very cool.
Oh no, it's a movie in which inanimate objects suddenly start having discussions. There is a whole subplot involving a gun, a pistol, on a film set that's bent on revenge. There are various props that suddenly stand up and start mysteriously walking around the set. This enormous, oversized coffee cup that is so strange and beautiful and surreal just starts wandering around. It's amazing. So we love Shahram's work. And then Legend of the Sacred Stone from director Chris Wang it's an offshoot of a long-running Taiwanese Budaichi glove puppet martial arts TV series called Pili, Pili, which has run for decades and is really beloved. And They made a movie of it that came out in 2000. It's never been released here officially before. And it's sort of Team America World Police, like Jerry Anderson's Thunderbirds Are Go meets Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So it's this incredibly complicated and wonderful martial arts plot, all told with Budaichi glove puppets. It also has a lot of The Dark Crystal. If you're a fan of Jim Henson and The Dark Crystal, you will also really love this. And you see puppets doing somersaults, sword fights, bleeding, perspiring, things that you never knew puppets could do in a film. And so we're super excited to.
I mean, it's kind of amazing. Like, so many labels have been putting out so much martial arts films, and we literally had the discussion of like, well, that's kind of, everyone's covered that. We don't need to really even be looking into putting out a martial arts movie. And then this came across, and we're like, well, wait a second. I'm like,
no.
All right, if Deaf Crocodile is going to put out a martial arts movie, this is the one. Yeah, it was kind of a no-brainer. We weren't like, not considering martial arts films because we don't like them. We love them. It was just like, there's plenty of, people can get that from a bunch of different labels. Like,
Right.
we're that's not our niche. But a puppet martial arts movie.
Yeah. And the art of Budaichi, which is really fascinating, is a traditional theatrical puppetry art in Taiwan, and it has a long history. The filmmaker's family, father or grandfather, are famous Budaichi glove puppet artists and performers. So
it's incredible.
There's amazing backstory.
Yeah, it is
the success of the series and the features. So.
Yeah, if anyone's thinking like this is going to just be like silly, amateurish, no, it's incredible. The cinematography, the camera work, like it's amazing.
It's like a Shaw Brothers, wuxia, or like a King Hu film, but told with glove puppets,
right?
And that's amazing. And we were like, okay, we have to put this out. So.
And finally, that leads us to June. And just as a reminder, subscribers for the first 6 months of the year are getting all of these, plus the two big ones that we're going to be going in depth on for January. These last two are pretty big ones as well. We've got Tomorrow and Hafmaniada. I never say that one right. I'll let Dennis go through this.
It doesn't kind of trip off your tongue. But Hafmaniada, I'll start with first, is an amazing stop-motion animated film produced by Soyuz Malt Film, who we've been working with on the Treasures of Soviet Animation. This month, the collection of Yuri Norstein's wonderful shorts is coming out. Hedgehog in the Fog and The Tale of Tales, and previously we'd done Lev Atamanov's work. We have a number of other, even more. I think we just decided to do a volume 7, which we can't announce, but there will be, I think, a volume 7 now of Treasures of Soviet Animation. This is not officially part of that series, but it's such a wonderful film. It was their first feature-length animated film in several decades. Stanislav Sokolov is the brilliantly talented director, and it's based on the stories by the famed kind of Gothic Romantic era writer E.T.A. Hoffman, who's best known for writing the story that the Nutcracker ballet is adapted from, but he wrote dozens of wonderful stories, and they took 3 of them and adapted them in it's kind of like A Nightmare Before Christmas or James and the Giant Peach crossed with Mozart's The Magic Flute. So it's incredibly lyrical and beautiful, but it's also a stop-motion animated film really made for adults. Like, kids could watch it, but in terms of the pacing and the tone, it's really aimed at an adult audience, which is kind of amazing. And so we're super excited to be working with Soyuz Malt Film and with Sokolov on this. And then tomorrow is just an incredibly bonkers and daffy movie. I mean, it's incredibly silly, and that's one of the qualities I love so much about it. It was directed by my late friend Val Guest, who was a legendary British filmmaker who did the first two Quatermass movies for Hammer. He directed Hell is a City, Jigsaw, some fantastic noirs, British crime films. He was the main director on the 60s version of Casino Royale with David Niven and Peter Sellers and a cast of thousands, literally. And tomorrow was, I think, meant to be a kind of British feature version of The Monkees. It's about this kind of multicultural, interracial pop music band, super groovy mods at college, one of whom was the young Olivia Newton-John. This was her sort of first big crack at stardom. And their music is so groovy that it turns out the vibrations they feed this starving alien race that is circling the Earth in a crystalline spaceship. And that is for real. That's what the movie is actually about. We screened it a couple times in the early 2000s when I was working at the American Cinematheque, once with Val Guest there, and another time, unbelievably, with Olivia Newton-John there for Q&A. So I've always had a real fondness for this film. It has not been available for years. It was almost a semi-lost film. I think a couple of years ago it came out on DVD, and now with our good friends at the British Film Institute, we are undertaking a collaborative restoration between the BFI and Deaf Crocodile, where they have scanned their materials on the film, and Craig is spearheading the digital restoration color grade here in Los Angeles, and will be a kind of dual release with the BFI putting it out in England, and we're putting it out here in North America. So we're super excited. I'm just so thrilled to be working on one of Val Guest's movies. He was a really wonderful filmmaker and a wonderful friend. So this is one that is like really near and dear to my heart.
And scrubbing through the scans I've seen, like it does. I've not seen the film, but it does look like a lot of fun.
Oh, it's insanely loopy. I mean, if you're a fan of the Monkees, the Partridge Family of sort of late 60s, early 70s, they had huge plans for it. I mean, Olivia Newton-John, when she came to the screening, said, "Oh yeah, I thought this was going to make my career." They had me signed for sequels and TV spinoffs, and it flopped miserably, and they put me on a plane back to Australia, and I got home and I thought, that's it. My career is over. And then within a year, she was topping the charts as a performer and a singer there, and of course, never looked back. We forced her to look back when she came to the screening, and she actually laughed and looked at it very fondly. And she was like, "Yeah, no, I hadn't seen the film since it premiered in 1970 in London." So I'm really glad that we're able to do this beautiful new restoration of it.
Incredible. And now, coming in January, two films that we've already discussed a few times on the show, but not all of the extras and all of the excitement, because these are going to be in your hands in a matter of probably just over a month at this point, hopefully. End of January, everything should be shipping here. Let's discuss White Sun of the Desert and Krakatit. Mr. Bartok, where do you want to start?
We can talk about Vladimir Model's White Sun of the Desert. Is one of the best known, best beloved Soviet, what are called red westerns, or and I guess the subgenre is Ostern, because this film is sort of set in the eastern part of what was the Soviet Union's territory at the time. And I did an interview, which is going to be on the Blu-ray release, with Sergei Lavrentiev, who is a very acclaimed Soviet film historian and has actually published a book about Soviet red westerns. And he said that the whole cycle, and there were dozens and dozens of these movies, of which White Sun of the Desert is kind of the most famous, were inspired by this phenomenal success of The Magnificent Seven in the Soviet Union. It came out and it ran for months and months, packed. It's hugely successful. And it really led to this wave of Soviet Westerns, kind of their equivalent of spaghetti Westerns. And you can see, obviously, a lot of Sergio Leone's filmmaking style in this. Visually, I think it's comparable to Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more. It's just stunning cinematography.
That's immediately where, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, this is a Leone spaghetti Western. This is phenomenal. I love it.
Well, and a model was a really interesting, eclectic filmmaker. He did a World War II romance called Zhenya, Zanechka, and Katyusha in 1967 that was a huge hit. He worked in different genres, and he never became kind of a household name. Maybe somebody like George Roy Hill here in the States would be comparable, who had huge hits, but he himself as a filmmaker didn't become incredibly famous. And he was actually a theater director. He worked a lot, very successfully in theater for years. But White Sun of the Desert is now one of those films that average Russians will routinely quote lines from it, song lyrics, and it's also became famous because over the past several decades, before they go into space, Russian cosmonauts all sit down and watch White Sun of the Desert. So it has become this tradition, like a lucky touchstone, that before you get on the rocket, you watch White Sun of the Desert. And funny enough, it actually reminds me a lot of Kin Zaza, which is the amazing Soviet Georgian sci-fi film that we released a little while ago. And they're both about kind of everyman Russians who are thrown into these alien desert landscapes and forced to confront just these incredibly strange and surreal hardships and misfortunes, and kind of bear it all with this sort of really dry sense of humor. There's also a real feminist angle to this film, because the Sukhov, who is the lead character, who is a Russian soldier who's just, all he wants to do is get home to his wife, kind of dreams about her and sort of writing letters to her in his mind. And instead, he's diverted and has to guard a harem of women who have sort of escaped from a local bandit chieftain, Basmachi guerrillas. And there is a real aspect of it that is about the sort of oppression and subjugation of these women. Sukhov is sort of exhorting them, like, throw off your chains and, the revolution will set you free. But I really think just as a visually stunning genre film, and it is sort of amazing. He's kind of a laconic Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen hero, where he has to take on amazingly, almost single-handedly, this whole clan of bandits at the end of the film, and it's fantastic. Or like Clint Eastwood in the Man with No Name films, where he's just like, there's dozens of people coming at him, but that somehow he's going to prevail. So White Sun of the Desert just fantastic.
It also, I'm always talking about the artwork, but the limited edition slipcase artwork is again by Stephen Thomas. And again, Stephen knocked it out of the park. I love this cover. So hopefully other people do too. Like he always does such amazing work.
Yeah. Well, and in addition to the video interview that I conducted with author Sergei Lavrentiev from, actually, I think he was at the Moscow Film School when we conducted it. So enormous thanks to Sergei for doing that. There's a commentary track by German film scholar Rolf Giesen, who's contributed to a lot of our releases, the DIFA sets, the sci-fi sets recently, and a number of others. There is a visual essay by film historian Evan Chester. And then the 60-page illustrated book features new essays, of course, by Walter Chaw, who contributes to all of our releases, and Russian and Soviet film expert Peter Rollberg, who has also contributed to a number of our releases like Savage Hunt of King Stack and others. So we're super excited. Moss Film did a beautiful job restoring the film a few years ago, and this is the first ever physical media release for the film in the U.S., as far as we know, and certainly it's the first time it's come out on Blu-ray.
Big deal. And for many, the bigger deal this month, Krakatit coming on 4K, Blu-ray, dual format release. This one just looks incredible for the restoration. Tell us about Krakatit.
Krakatit is an amazing late 40s. Again, it's one of those films that combines multiple genres. It is a film noir. It is also a science fiction film, and it is like an atomic age paranoid thriller. It's basically about a seriously ill scientist named Prokop who is suffering from brain fever and is hallucinating memory fragments of how he invented a formula for essentially an atomic bomb and what has happened to that formula. So it has a whole ticking clock kind of element like DOA, the famous noir about a man who's been poisoned. It's got incredible deep focus black and white cinematography like Orson Welles films from the same period, such as The Lady from Shanghai and The Stranger. It's got distorted dream sequences similar to Hitchcock's Spellbound. It was based on a novel from the early 1920s by the famed science fiction author Karel Capek, who invented the word robot in his play R.U.R. It's robot entered the lexicon because of Karel Capek. And so Krakatit was based on one of his other novels. And it's just, again, it's one of those films that is so visually stunning. And then we found out that it had been restored by the Narodny Film Archive in Prague, who we've worked with on a number of our releases, like Prague Nights and The Golden Fern and the Aldrich Lipsky, Adela Has Not Had Supper Yet, and Mysterious Castle and the Carpathians releases. They were able to restore it in 4K from the original 35 millimeter nitrate elements. And we said, oh man, we have to put it out on 4K UHD and Blu-ray.
It was already so gorgeous. Like the restoration's beautiful. The cinematography is stunning. And so I reached out to our guy, Tyler Fagerstrom, and I was like, hey, we want to put this out in 4K. What would an HDR pass look like on this? And so he worked his magic and sent me back an HDR version. And it's, how do I explain? The original photography is already so gorgeous. And I was watching this and I was like, how different is it? So I brought it up on my monitor, like, so I could side by side, and it's kind of exactly what you'd want from an HDR grade. Is it doesn't look dramatically different. It just looks better. Like it's hard to, it's just hard to explain. I was looking at it and I was just like, this is so stunning, but like, what is different? And so I went in the back and I looked at the SDR, and yeah, there's just a little bit more detail in the shadows, but at the same time, not because the shadows were lifted. You still have the deep depth of black, and the same goes with the high end, where it's just like some of the things are a little bit brighter, but nothing is washed out. It is not like it. It's just it's the best like black and white HDR I've seen. Like I'm people are going to see this and I think they're going to just be like, oh, that's just absolutely incredible. And the best part is like it's also attached to a movie that's incredible. It's not just visuals. It's a really, really cool movie.
It's amazing that this film has not entered this sort of world.
Yeah, this is a perfect
canon.
example. This is a perfect example of like how on earth is this not a film everybody knows?
Yeah,
it's so good. It's so beautiful. The cinematography is mind blowing. There's sequences, lots of sequences through it that what brought to my mind immediately were the brainwashing sequences from Manchurian Candidate.
Oh yeah.
Which immediately I was just like, oh, that's like, the really cool stuff in Manchurian Candidate, but it was 20 years earlier. Like it's a truly
such
remarkable, a great movie. I'm very excited.
Anyone that loves film noir and world noir in particular, I think they're going to fall in love with this. Yeah. I have to give a shout out to our friend and collaborator Irena Kovarova from Comeback Company, who co-presents all of our Czech film releases, and she contributes fantastic audio commentary with her friend, film historian Peter Hames from England. And Peter and Irena have contributed commentaries to a number of our Czech releases, and this is another great one. And then I was able to do a video interview with archivist Teresa Frodlova of the Narodny Film Archive in Prague, where she talks about their amazing collections, the work they've done to save and preserve Czech cinema, and in particular about the work they did on Krakatit, the restoration. There's a visual essay by film historian Clayton Dillard. It's the first time Clayton's contributed to one of our releases. It talks a lot about the sort of socio-political context that Krakatit was made under, and that's really fascinating. And then the special edition, Craig, maybe you want to talk about the artwork. Oh, wow. The slipcase artwork.
Yeah, it's again, my friend Richard Cox, who I wasn't surprised because I've known him forever, but like, I think a lot of people, when they saw the cover artwork he did for Sirius, were justifiably blown away because he's amazing. He came up with an idea for this cover where he said he wanted to go the exact opposite direction that he did with Sirius, and he's like, I want a lot of black on this one. It's just like, I'm going to use up bottles of ink. And he came up with this shattered mirror kind of idea to emphasize the lead character's shattered mind. And so in each shard of glass is, a scene from the film. It's incredible. It's just really, really incredible.
I know Richard's work is so good that absolutely. I think we already have him lined up for another
3 more.
3 more. Oh my God. Okay. So yes, we're working with Richard Cox again. And it has a 60-page booklet with, of course, contribution from our favorite film essayist, Walter Chaw, as well as Jonathan Owen, who's a fantastic Czech film scholar who has contributed to a number of our Czech cinema releases. I have to say the next 2 years are going to be big for us with rare and wonderful Czech cinema. We have a number of really jaw-dropping releases coming up throughout 2026 and now well into 2027. So we are super excited. We love collaborating with the NFA in Prague. And this one in particular, like we look, Prague Nights and The Golden Fern and the Aldrich Lipsky films, we love them. We love all of these movies. Krakatit, I think, because it's our first kind of classic Czech release in 4K UHD, I think will really blow people's minds.
Yeah, and again, it's just one of those films where this should be, like, everyone should know this film. Like, why had we never heard of this? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it checks all of the boxes for what you want in a great movie. And yeah, there's no good reason that this isn't just a film everyone knows.
I know, and it's funny. A few months ago, we were saying, well, I don't think we're going to have that many 4K UHD releases in the first part of 2026. And then Craig looked at the materials on Krakatit and he was like, oh, I know this film is really unknown here, but we really have to do a 2-disc release. It's got to be 4K. And then we looked at Song of the Miraculous Hind and the materials we got from the NFI in Budapest, and he said, yeah, we got to put this out in 4K UHD too. It's stunning. We got to put it out.
And like we've said all along, part of the barometer of what is going to get a 4K release and what isn't is part of it is content. Like, is it technically going to make any sense? But also, is it going to sell? And Tragedy Man sold so well, we're like, all right, well, we'll take a chance and we'll spend the extra money that it's going to cost to put Song of Miraculous Hind out in 4K because, we've got a track record now of like, okay, people really want this. Because it is considerably more expensive and we don't want to go out of business.
Well, and we would have done Tragedy of Man, except it doesn't exist.
Well, that didn't have
does not exist in 4K and probably never will because it was made over the way course it was made. Yeah, so we talk about this a little bit in the release and in the booklet. So it was produced over the course of 23 years, and literally Marcel Yankovic would go out and animate a segment, and then he would show it at a film festival and raise money to do the next one. But over the 23 years, filmmaking and animation techniques were changing like at light speed. And so they started to incorporate some digital techniques like animating, but then scanning them and doing post and digital. So there is no like single negative that you could create a 4K from. I mean, literally we asked and they were like, yeah, we think you would have to try and track down.
Yeah, it'd be a huge undertaking, like to the level of like, the Hungarian Film Archive with like government I think backing would probably have to get involved. I
think for some of the later episodes that were finished digitally based on hand-drawn animation, I don't think they did 4K output. I think it's like exists in HD only. So
yeah, they'd for those sections, the best they could probably do is if they've got the 2K masters or the HD masters, is either blow up those masters, or if they've got an output of those on 35, is to scan the 35 that was made from those. But yeah, there is no native 4K on a lot of the film.
Yeah. So, but for Song of the Miraculous Hind, those materials are held and preserved by the NFI in Budapest, and they had done this stunning 4K restoration. So we said, "Oh my God, let's put it out." And then our colleagues at the Estonian Film Institute had done a 4K scan for their film elements on Dead Mountaineers Hotel. So suddenly we went from no 4K releases to, oh yeah, we're doing one each in January, February, March, and then Sharon Mokri's Black Rabbit, White Rabbit will also be 4K. And we can't promise. There may be one other that maybe we're going to do in 4K UHD.
4 for sure, maybe 5 in this subscription period. Should also mention Krakatit limited edition cover We do have a slight variant that will be for the subscribers. So subscription members will get a slight variant on that cover. It's still the Richard Cox cover. And any extras left over will go in the members only shop. But so a little something extra or a little something different for the subscribers and members. It's just a touch of color, so I don't want people thinking like, oh, there's a whole different cover. It's a minor thing, but something just to set the subscriber and members versions apart.
Well, and I should also thank all of our fans and customers for their patience. We did have production delays both on 2551 Trilogy, which has finally been shipping to people kind of as we speak. And then the 3x2 Votulio, the delays with 2551 kind of created a ripple effect, so the 2 Votulio got delayed. That is at the replication plant right now, as is Treasures of Soviet Animation Volume 3, Yuri Norstein, which should, God willing, be on schedule, and we should have 2 Votulio in hands shortly as well. So we have made some adjustments to our internal production pipelines so that hopefully we're not going to be experiencing these kinds of delays. I think 2551 is a 4-disc set, and everything involved is a massive undertaking followed directly by the 3-film set of 2 Votulio. It's like when you see, all the gears going, crazy in like Chaplin's Modern Times or something, and steam and everywhere, or Metropolis. It was a little bit of that, but 2551 is with people now, and 2 Votulio and Yuri Norstein will be with them very shortly. So we thank everyone enormously for their understanding and patience. And in fact, almost everyone was incredibly kind and understanding when we announced it and said, "Oh yeah, we love what you guys are doing."
I hope everyone understands that if anything goes wrong, no matter how minor, it upsets us more than you.
Oh my God, Craig! Craig loses a lot of sleep.
We really, really, really don't like when things get delayed or if there's a mistake, like anything. Yeah, it's there's nobody is more concerned than we are. So thank you for understanding.
Well, and this is the first podcast for 2026, but it's coming out. So this will be the last podcast that comes out in 2025. And this has by far been our biggest year in terms of the number of releases, the number of people who are buying and enjoying these movies. So we just sent out an enormous thank you to everyone who has supported us with our kind of growth and expansion. There is going to be more growth and expansion. We're going to be bringing some more people on board. Very excited about that in 2026, and we got a huge 2026 coming. I will just say, in the second part of 2026, we are going to have multiple months where we do 3 releases, because we've got so much stuff now on deck waiting to come out. And so we're we're up in the game from 2 to 3 a month. I don't know how we're gonna survive. Poor Craig is like, you can see his face.
I don't want this to sound like an NPR pledge drive, but the subscriptions that we offer, and which is closing on the 19th, that's essentially how we raised money. Like you're basically prepaying for 6 months of films from us, and we use that money to put all this stuff together. So if you're interested in what we're putting out, a subscription helps us tremendously, and it guarantees that you won't miss out on anything we're putting out. So
yes, and again, as Craig
go for
said,
it. And use the membership. You save $50. Get the membership at $375, and get $4.25, and that gets you a subscription.
And when I see some of the crazy prices that releases that we did like 4 or 5 months ago are now getting in the secondary markets, I'm like, that's nuts. So I encourage everyone, if you like what we do, sign up for a subscription, and you're guaranteed to get the deluxe editions, and and then you won't be paying somebody a small fortune on eBay.
Well, and that's the joy. Even if you watch it and you don't want it, there's a lot of people hungry for these the moment they're gone.
Yeah. Or, I mean, and honestly, it's like, if you've got a subscription, like, there may be a title you're like, I'm just not into that. Like, someone will buy it from you. Like,
right.
Or trade. I love trades.
Yeah.
Get something you want, they get something they want, and nobody had to spend any money. That's fantastic.
We have members on the Discord who are constantly trading the playing cards that we put in with the orders. They're like,
well, that's why they're called trading cards.
Every time I see somebody make a trade, I know that Craig read that and is just like full of glee in his heart.
I'm so happy.
Actually,
that was literally the point. I was like, yes, thank you.
Actually, that gives me an idea. We should offer as some kind of promotional giveaway a full set of trading cards, upcoming, or maybe in the members only shop if we have, a couple sets, so that if somebody at some
point, I'd love to get back to, because we used to make postcards that would go out with orders. And that's not that expensive, and they're kind of fun, and I like the idea that someone actually uses it as a postcard, rather than just collecting it.
I have some King Stack postcards that I'm planning to use sending out.
Yeah, there's some. We had some cool ones. I'd like to do that again. We just haven't. Just haven't had the bandwidth, but hopefully that'll come back as well.
Yeah. Well, so we're super excited about 2026, and we already have a lot of 2027 kind of mapped out because we have so much stuff in the hopper. I don't think we've planned anything yet for 2028, but it's coming soon because we have so many movies that are waiting to come out and people enjoy. So thank you to everyone who has supported us this past year. It's been a great one.
Yeah, and I'm assuming probably if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably already signed up for the newsletter. But yeah, right on our front page at the bottom, it's just a box. Put your email in there, and you'll know what's coming without missing anything.
And if you're listening to this on the day that it goes up or around that time, you have just a tiny amount of time more to subscribe to the first 6 months of the year. When is this shutting down, Craig? What time on the 19th?
11:59 p.m.
Pacific?
Yes, Pacific. So I'll give you as long as possible on the 19th.
All right. You heard it here first. You got just a tiny amount of time left. Get in there. If you're excited about the titles that we talked about today, this is the fastest, best way to get these at the lowest possible price and to support a company that, if you're listening to this, you likely love because they are putting a lot of thought and curation into these titles, and it goes a long way, a lot further than you think.
And before we wrap up, on a really sad, somber note, obviously the events of the past week and the terrible murders of Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle have shaken a lot of people in the film industry. I know multiple friends who were collaborators of Rob Reiner's who had worked with him over the years. I have to say I am a huge fan of Stand By Me, Princess Bride, Spinal Tap, Misery. Those are films that I've all watched multiple times. My heart goes out to his family, to all of his longtime friends. We know people who have known him literally since high school, and he gave so much to American culture and cinema as an actor and then as a filmmaker. So I just want to send that out there. Our deepest condolences to his family and close friends.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, to say the least.
Yeah, not been great.
Well, thanks for the time today, gentlemen. Everybody listening, thanks for the time with us and the support over this year, and looking forward to a giant 2026. Here's the next one.
Okay, now for the lightning round.
I'm so good at lightning rounds. That's from Friends. It's my favorite show.
20 seconds on the clock starts now. Who is the captain of the USS Enterprise?
Oh, crap. Is it, Captain Stubing? No, Morgan? Crunch?
Next question. Which superhero is Tony Stark?
Stark. Did Game of Thrones have superheroes? I only watched 2 episodes.
What planet were Luke and Leia born on?
Planet Fitness?
Oh, time's up. Sorry. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hey everybody, Mandy Kaplan here. Please check out my podcast, Make Me a Nerd, where each week an incredible guest tries to baptize this mainstream mom into the world of sci-fi, fantasy, and all things nerdy. Available wherever you podcast.
That's our show, folks.
Wait, I just thought of it. Padme Amidala gave birth to her twins Luke and Leia on Polis Massa. No, that's dumb. Is it Planet Hollywood?
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description